This is your underground king, Slyck Wagner Brown, SWB, and you're watching the Three Count Podcast.
I'm in fashion, roll with cold
Welcome everybody to another great edition of the Three Count Podcast. Is now entering the ring, and I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up this mountain called wrestling. That's right. And by now, y'all should be saying it with me, and just say it out loud. Just makes yourself feel good. He is my Sherpa. That's right, I am your Sherpa. But like every good Sherpa, you got to have someone who's been there, done that, and can do it more efficiently than you can. That's why it's never about me. It's about who's entering the ring. And who's entering the ring today? You see him. He comes to us from ROH, ICW, 2CW, NEASW, SCW, Excite, BTW, and Dynasty. He is the SWB. He is Underground King. He is a wrestler, a promoter, a booker, and you can find him at Tessa's Strength. He is Slyck Wagner Brown.
Thank you, man. Thank you. That was awesome. You did your homework.
Well, actually, congratulations. I didn't mention this, but 25 years in the business, huh?
Yeah, man. Long time. It's a lifetime, actually. Yeah.
I was looking back. I was reading, and like I've been looking through and seeing everything kind of going on. And actually, Joey G, the sign rip guy, is kind of the reason why I started paying attention to Test of Strength. And I saw everything, and I was like, oh, okay. Well, let me see if I can bring this man on the podcast. And then I saw the 25 years, and I was like, yo, let's go. And then I was like, I got a wealth of knowledge I could talk to.
No, that's cool. Your intro is also way more energetic than mine, so that's dope.
It's a lot of practice, a lot of practice to be able to do something like this. Because the crazy part is like our show has kind of been going on since like 2020, and just evolutions and stuff. But like trying to figure this all out and trying to like continue to grow and understand, it's a lot of work, and I'm sure you know that as well.
It is, man, but nothing good comes easy, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, if it was easy, everybody would do it.
Everybody would want to, and I was like, sometimes it's like it's like two things that I like talking about. One, you kind of have to be selfish to go after your dreams, and two, like anything worth fighting for is it's going to be worth the fight.
Absolutely. You'll want to quit. You'll want to give up for sure because it's hard. No, hard work ain't fun, but it's necessary.
Right. I just it's funny because like where I train at, we just got a new student in, and his day one today, and he's like very bright-eyed, and he straight up told us, he was like, yeah, I'm in this. He's like, I've been wanting to do this since I was a kid. I've been super excited, and this is my first day. And I was like, bet, remember that tonight when I tell you, when we talk about it. And he hit that first bump, and he looked at us and was like, what did I get myself into? I was like, I don't know. What did you get yourself into?
Well, it's fun, man. I mean, there's nothing like pro wrestling. I mean, I've played every sport, and every sport has different aspects that pro wrestling has. Well, pro wrestling has it all, right? Characters, stories, energy, skills, talent, people getting that immediate reaction, like everything that you can think of that excites you is in pro wrestling.
Yeah, and I feel like that's something that a lot of people don't really understand. Is like, this is the one entertainment business where like, if something goes wrong, somebody else is gonna have to step up like immediately, right? It's because you think about like if you're in a musical, right, and like the lead actor goes down, you have that understudy, but if something goes wrong during the match, all bets out the window, and we've all gotten those little crazy dings and injuries where things like you've had to change things on the fly, but to be able to adjust and then still listen to the crowd and still be able to tell a story, even if you're injured, is super hard. And it tests your strength, no pun intended for the company. It tests your character, and it tests your ability to keep yourself calm when something's kind of gone wrong. Like recently, I was having a match with one of my friends, and we were on the outside. I dropped him. I left my arm behind him by accident on a back suplex and just hyperextended my elbow. And I couldn't feel my fingers. And I had just told him, I was like, hey, man, I really messed up my arm. Like, I'm not quite sure what I did. let's just try to keep it going. And so we did. We kept the match going. So for like another 10 minutes, I wrestled with my fingers just numb. I couldn't feel
Yeah,
anything.
yeah, you're insane. You did you just start or what? How many years in?
I'm level 2.5 now.
Okay,
Actually,
all
two and
right,
a half as of this month.
yeah. But I mean, you did the right thing, right? There's a difference between being hurt and injured. Like if you're injured, you can't continue, nor should you try. But if you're hurt, you can push through and do other things. You know what I mean?
Well, that was the one thing I was like, as soon as I hit, I felt everything kind of go numb. But then like I was able to move my elbow, and then I felt
Right.
my fingers were just tingling, and I was like, yeah, we're good. He's like, are you sure? I was like, yeah, we gotta keep going. Let's go.
Yeah.
So like everything else, like we had a whole entire thing planned out for the match, and we are like, hey, yo, we got changing this all up,
Right. Right.
which was so crazy because I still did like a moonsault off the second rope, which
Right.
like he was like, yo, hit it, and I was like, all right, whatever. And so yeah, but it was a lot of fun. It was a great match. But to our listeners and our viewers who don't know who you are, please let them know who is SWB.
So SWB, Slick Wagner Brown, the Underground King. I started training in 1997 with Killer Kowalski in Boston, Mass. Rest in peace. And since then, I've traveled the world. I've wrestled in every major company, WWE, Ring of Honor, TNA, with the exception of AEW. I haven't wrestled in AEW. That's a relatively newer company. But I wrestled in every top company there is: New Japan Pro Wrestling, Irish Whip Wrestling, All Star Wrestling in the UK. IWA in Puerto Rico. So I've had the opportunity to travel the world doing something that I love to do. So I've been blessed, man. And now I'm doing my own thing with Tesla Strength Wrestling in East Hartford, Connecticut. So now we put on our own events. We give guys their start, and other guys give them an opportunity to prove themselves all over again.
No, that's awesome. It's definitely something
Yeah,
I've like paying attention and like start catching my attention, especially with guys like the stepdads and watching
yeah,
them go through and work. And I'm good friends with those guys, and so watching them continue to grow and do their thing, I'm always laughing and seeing like just enjoying them. And and like we mentioned, like with Joey G, like just watching him all through Connecticut, like hype up different promotions and stuff,
right.
especially with some of the stuff that he's doing with you guys, as well as stuff that he does with like Invictus. Like I
Yeah,
see him putting in the work and like getting
right.
like all the networks. I'm like, hey man, like you're doing a great job. So it always
Yeah,
catch my attention. I'm like, and I'm a Maryland cat myself. So like, but I have a family that all lives in through Massachusetts. So I'm like, now I know where some extra areas I need to stop into when I'm like up in the Northeast.
right. So where are you based out of?
So currently I'm out of Baltimore.
Okay.
Like, yeah. And then
Yeah.
I travel up to the Northeast all the time. So I'm just like, hey, we're gonna have some fun.
Yeah, anytime you're up our way, man, and you go to the Facebook page and see that there's an event, come on through, man. We'd love to have you. You know what I'm saying?
Hell yeah.
Um, how's the indie scene in Baltimore going right now?
You know what's funny is, and okay, so I normally don't ask this kind of question, so I just want to figure it out. You ever been in a situation where like you enjoy the area you live in, but you work more outside of the area than the area that you're in? That's kind
Right.
of where I'm at right now.
That's where you're at. Yeah, I got you. No, it happens, right? You gotta go where the eyes are. You know what I'm saying? If yeah, that's where you are in the game. If you're relatively new and still trying to hone your craft, like as far as the basics goes, then you keep that, keep working at home, make your mistakes at home, and then once you feel comfortable, you start branching out a little bit, and you know what I mean, and start working other places. But you got to go where the eyes are. So if it's hot in the Northeast, you got to go to the Northeast. If it's hot in Florida, you got to go to Florida. You
Right.
know what I'm
Well,
saying?
it's funny because like I enjoy working in Maryland. It's just that,
Yeah,
and there's a lot of cool companies to work for in Maryland. It's
yeah,
just I find myself booked more like New Jersey or going to Delaware or even out to West Virginia or in Pennsylvania than I do in my home state. And I'm like, I know like all the promotions here, and a
yeah,
lot of the promotions have actually been on this podcast, and it's like,
yeah.
why not?
Right.
But it is what it is. I do. Maryland's the DMV. I definitely tell. We talk about it a lot with a bunch of our friends and stuff. Definitely feel like the DMV, as far as like name values and people who wrestle in the DMV, it's super underrated over here.
Yeah, yeah. I've done some stuff in Baltimore, but I'm not like real familiar with the scene. I know Maryland Championship Wrestling is what that's the next state, right? So
Yeah.
I know they're pretty good, and they've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, and I know they just recently had like their head trainer turnover, so they're like still like building up and doing a lot. Like I love some of the guys that come out of there. I'm still pretty good friends with. Besides from like Moses to Kakoa, those guys are so much fun to talk to. And then to
Yeah,
see some of my other friends that are wrestling through there, like Killian McMurphy,
right,
it's really fun to see those guys like just continue to grow and blow up, and then start getting recognized in other places. It's like, hey man, Maryland Championship Wrestling definitely seems to be like the number one spot to go hit up.
right. I mean, it's a good launching pad. A lot of guys that have done stuff in our business, like big time stuff like TV and stuff like that, have come out of there too. So it's a good launching pad. I mean, you got what's his name? The latest to come out there was small guy. I can't think of his name right now.
Oh,
He,
Leo.
Leo Rush. Yeah, he used to manage Bobby Lashley, correct? On
Yep.
TV. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, there's been a few guys that have come out and gone to other places too. So it's really, like I said, it's a great launching pad, and a lot of dudes have a lot of fun here, and then you see them everywhere after that. So I'm just like, hey, keep doing what you're doing. It's great to see, and I just kind of like to hang on the tail end and see everybody like grow in the sport. So it's cool. I enjoy. Hey, I know you've been in this crazy world for 25 years, so you gotta have one of these. But I need to know, what's the craziest bump you've taken? Actually, let's not use that phrase. What's the worst bump you've taken?
the worst bump. So I've been KO'd that I remember. I've been KO'd once in my career, and it was actually from the Sunset Flip power bomb out of the corner. So when the guy is on the middle rope facing the outside, and the guy on the top rope flips over like a sunset flip, and then the other guy takes a power bomb. So I've been KO'd on that spot, and that shit was not fun at all. So that was probably the craziest bump.
Damn.
Yeah,
It's like that, and that's one of those moves that you're just like, you know, even if you do it, and that's something like I feel like a lot of people don't realize too. Like you can do a move correctly and still get injured. Like,
right, right. On that move, it's just there's no way to protect your head on that move. You know what I'm saying? You're going
mhm,
down so fast, and you're going down from such a height. There's no way to protect yourself. But when you do it, where when the guy lands and you're still on the rope, and then he power bombs you, that's much safer because then he
right.
can take a better bump. But if you do it in one motion, that's a death sentence.
See, this is what I love the show about is like you learn lessons
Yeah,
and you just apply the lessons. So for anybody
yeah,
out there who's like young and still learning, like we always have I've asked that question over 200 times, and
yeah.
I've never had the same answer repeat yet.
Right, right. What
So
was the last answer you got? What was the last answer? Craziest bump.
I had someone I, I'm trying to remember. The one that I remember the most was someone got spiked through a table and
Yeah,
to the outside, and just
spike
didn't end well.
spike through a table.
Yeah, it took
So
it to
so
like
what
almost like a tombstone through the table to the outside.
from the apron or the top rope?
Yeah, from the
Which
apron,
one? From the apron.
from the
Okay.
apron. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was. They were like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I'll never do that again." Actually, some of the most
Right.
memorable ones when I had one guy who he got thrown over the top rope in a match, and he was trying to
Yeah.
oversell it, and
Yeah.
instead of catching the ring apron, he missed it 100% and just cracked his skull like on the ground, knocked him out.
Ouch. Ouch. Yeah, I would say so. Ouch.
Yeah, I was
Don't
like,
mind the
damn.
people running it back and forth in the background.
Hey, that's life. Life happens.
So sorry
Like
about that.
even when we were talking, I was like, right before we even showed up, I was like, hey, look, there's my dog. I'm just gonna go
Yeah.
push her outside really quick
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
go from there. Uh, so one of my other favorite questions asked, right? After a show, after a match, like what's that post match meal, post match snack that you gotta have?
I gotta have. I mean, there ain't shit open. The only thing that I do after a match is probably have like a beer or something. when I was like early in the game, not a beer because I hate beer, but like some kind of mixed drink. You know what I mean? But early in my career, I would always have like either a shake bottle with me, and I would have that, or I'd have like a protein bar.
Mm,
Yeah, but there's no real like post match, meal.
nah.
It's just yeah, it's just time to hit the road. Maybe have a drink and then hit the road.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel that.
Yeah,
I remember like
yeah,
even just like last night, my friends and I, when we were driving home, we were like, yeah, we're just gonna stop at like the first gas station that we see, and we're just
right.
gonna grab something. And it just happened to be Royal Farms for us, and we were just like, let's, we grab some chicken, and we just like get back on the road and just head home because I was like, it's so late. I don't want to be home. I don't want to come home at like 3 or 4 in the morning.
Yeah, I used to mess with those gas station sandwiches until I got sick, and I don't mess with them anymore.
That's weird. You know what's crazy is, so I was living in Georgia, right? And this was like 2014, 2015, something like that. And I went
Yeah,
to Subway, right? And I wanted like, because they're doing like the Subway breakfast, right? So I went into the Subway and I grabbed like I had like a foot long like breakfast sandwich, right? I started eating it. I drove to my job. I stopped. I
yeah,
pulled over at my in the parking lot, threw it up. Was like, never
yeah.
again will I have Subway
Right.
breakfast. And since then, Subway, you're not a sponsor of me. Like that's just not something that's gonna happen.
Well, even if they weren't before, they're definitely not now.
No, we're gonna dead that sponsorship right
Yeah,
now.
you just KO'd Subway hard.
Yo, I
Mike
was like,
Tyson in the first round.
I was like, you don't get no comeback from this. I was like,
Nah, said Subway sandwich made me sick. It's over.
yeah, they hit that top, they hit that uppercut, and hit that rope, and just kind of just flatten back
Yeah,
out. It's never going to happen.
crumble, crumble.
So this is kind of like one of the challenging questions I like to ask a lot of our people that come on the show, right? You have been in for quite some time, and I
Yeah.
just want to know what's one of the hardest lessons that you've had to learn being in this business.
The hardest lessons that I had to learn, man, I would say be careful of who you let in your circle. Be careful who you let in your circle. A lot of people, um, they're not there for the same reason. So usually, by the time you realize what's what, it's too late. But I would say that just keep your circle small and be careful who you let inside.
I like that because it was something that was recently said to me too, and I have the pleasure of having some pretty cool mentors,
Yeah.
and one of them told me they're like, listen, in this business you can have a lot of acquaintances,
Yes.
then you're gonna make some friends,
Right.
then you're gonna have your team, and you can have those in your corner. He's
Right.
like, but they're not always gonna be like, it's you can have very 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 few and select people. So I thought about it and I was like, man, that 100% makes sense.
Yeah.
I was like, so
Yeah.
I'm always cautious about like, what are your intentions? What do you really want? And
Yeah.
because it may be just something to be like, just far enough. All right, you can be in the friend zone, just stay right there. That's where you're gonna
Right.
be today.
Right. Yeah. And you have no control over that besides the fact of who you let in. You know what I'm saying? But you have no control over what happens once that person is in. I mean, it's all on an individual basis.
Yeah, it was something we had a situation where, and I say we, but it was like my trainer and I when we were talking. There's a kid who said that he had trained with us and that he was currently training with us, and he was getting booked on shows. And then, hi,
Doing a
uh,
podcast, Bree.
so he said that he'd been training with us,
Yeah.
like currently, and he got on a show and he almost injured another wrestler.
Yeah.
And they came back and they're like, "Hey, this person said they trained with you." We're like, "No, I've seen
Right.
them one time."
Right.
I was like, "They are not training with us currently." So I was like,
Right.
"You are definitely." And then my trainer went to him and was like, "Hey, you can't tell people that you're training with me because you're not." And so that
Right.
kid blocked him
Yeah.
on Facebook and was like, "I don't need your negativity." It was like,
Negativity. Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, The promoter's got to do better. You know, if you're trying to book somebody, at least reach out to whoever they say they trained with and get the real info. Because like when I started, the first question that promoters would ask you is who trained you. You can't. I mean, you can. It's your company, I guess. But when something goes wrong, when something goes south, you can't turn around and go, who trained this guy? No, that you should have asked that question a long time ago. Like when you were trying to book this guy, you should have asked, or girl should have asked who trained you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then reach out to the trainer and be like, hey, did you train this person? And how long have they been there? What did they know? Because a lot of things could go wrong. I mean, in our business, you literally have someone's life in your hands. I don't know if people understand that or not, but like we're already taking a huge risk. But when you have someone standing across the ring that is inexperienced and don't know what they're doing, then you're taking an even bigger risk. There's already a risk that you can get injured or badly hurt. But now you put someone across the ring that doesn't know what they're doing. That risk is even higher. It's even higher now.
And it's scary too. I know, because like my trainer was like, he was like, hey, do you remember this kid? And I was like, yeah, wasn't he and he was at a seminar that I just happened to be at. It's like, yeah, he was at
Yeah.
the seminar. He was like, yeah. He came here one time. I was like, yep. He's like, yeah, he told everybody that we've been training him. He's trying to get bookings through my name. I was like,
Right.
wow. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. So promoters, man, do do your due diligence. I mean, if you don't know the person, it's the first time you're working with them, and they're new. They're new because you've never seen them anywhere before. Just reach out to whoever they said booked them and whoever they said trained them and get the 411.
Yeah, definitely. Listen, I also love asking this question too. So, what kind of advice would you give to those who are up and coming?
Don't be in a rush. Focus on the basics. Get your foundation right. I mean, you can't do nothing without it. Um, Everything that we do in pro wrestling, when it comes to the physical aspect, is built on this foundation, right? You can't build a house without a foundation. You can't build a story without a foundation. You can't do anything without a foundation. So focus on that. And once you have that, I mean, it's not about the high spots and stuff. Those are fun, yes, but they're not the story. The high spots is not the story. It's something it's the dressing. We dressed it up with that stuff, but it's not the meat and potatoes. It's not the story. The story is the basics and how you make somebody feel. That's what's important. That's what people remember. How you make them feel. They don't remember a 730 off the top rope. The only way they remember that is if someone gets severely hurt. But they don't remember that stuff. That stuff comes and goes. I'm not saying it's not fun. Of course it's fun. Right? Everyone loves a crazy spot, but it's not the story. That's not what people are going to remember. They remember how you make them feel. Emotion. That's what wrestling is about. Emotion and telling stories based on the foundation, the basics that we learn in pro wrestling school. And just take your time. Don't be in a rush. Like spend your time in your wherever you learned the art of pro wrestling. Spend your time there, 1, 2, 3 years, whatever it takes for you. When it's time. You'll know because you're gonna be at a certain level in that area, and you'll know when it's time to branch out. And when that time comes, be more than free to do so. But don't rush it. I mean, I've seen guys who have done a handful of matches where they've learned the art of pro wrestling, and then they try to just go everywhere and do everything. And that's only going to be bad for not just you, but for everybody. Because when you get an opportunity to do something, you're opening that door. Someone before you opened that door for you to get that opportunity. And your job now is to make sure that door stays open for the next person coming behind you. Because if you go there and you do a terrible job, then they're going to go, where did you come from? And I'm not sure about anybody else coming behind you from where you came from. And that's not cool. That's not a good look because the person before you opened the door so you can have that opportunity. And they performed and they delivered and they made sure that you would have that opportunity to come up behind them. So you got to do the same thing for the next person coming behind you. Don't go in there and make a fool of everything, and that way you're just slamming the door shut for the next person coming behind you, and that's not cool.
No, definitely, definitely, and I love that advice too. That is something that I don't feel like I've heard enough. Was like, hey, like make sure you keep the door open for the next person who's coming behind you. So don't
Right.
don't be an asshole.
Yeah, exactly. think
Because
think
like
about.
it's
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say it's funny because like you see like so even if you like you maybe you just had like you show up to a new company, right? You're just getting there and maybe you just didn't have your best match, right?
Right.
But if you come off like an asshole, like nobody wants to work with anybody who's gonna be associated with that tree. But if you like come in, you're still like, hey man, like this wasn't my night tonight. I'm sorry. Like, I'll do better next time. Like you're showing that you care about the business. Like, sometimes they'll give you a second chance, and if you fuck that up, that's on you.
I mean, you got to be really bad that someone sees you and go, "I'll never use that person again." You have to, because everyone has an off day.
Right.
No one's expecting perfection. But you got to be real. I've never seen someone be that bad where they come in and then they just go, "I'll never use that person again." And a lot of times, if that does happen, it's usually not about the in-ring work. It's usually about stuff that you do outside of the ring. So you're either your locker room etiquette or you're just like not a team player. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like you're not willing to do anything but show up and whatever, right? You're just all about you, and that's usually when you see stuff where that person's never be back. But not usually in the in ring because, like I said, everyone has a bad day.
Yeah. Yeah. So I love this question, and this is going to be interesting to come from someone who runs their own company. But I do need one do and one don't of the locker room.
One do, shake hands, introduce yourself. One don't. I see this one a lot. Say a guy and a girl stand next to each other. So the person will walk up. Usually a guy will walk up, and then they'll shake the guy's hand, and then they'll just walk right by the girl. That's a no, right? They just pretend like she doesn't exist. So if you're gonna introduce yourself to everyone. Don't do that.
Damn.
Yeah,
No, no, no. That's crazy, especially nowadays. I feel like what's crazy is that the women wrestling, like on an average, is, and a lot of people be like, yeah, it's on par with men. No, I think it's better than a lot of men's wrestling matches. Like whether you're on the big screen or you're on the indie scene, like I just feel like women wrestling, hands down, right now, it's just the hell of a better story. Like can pull off better dynamics than what a lot of the men's matches can do. And I'm just like, yeah, you better start acknowledging how well they move in this ring.
yeah. No, I give the women their due. I mean, there was a time like when Trisha Leader was doing it where they actually overtook the men's program, and at that point in wrestling, you got to remember that was The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin. That was the Attitude Era. So there was a lot of huge name guys and stars at that time. So that was really really good, right? That was impressive. Um, but the women do a good job. They're more athletic today. I don't know if they when it comes to stories, they're better or worse, but they're definitely more athletic today, and that's on both sides, men and women. But ultimately, I'd have to give the nod to the guys, man. Overall, the women are doing a lot better, and I think that sometimes people think the women are better than the guys only because I think, and this is not me. This is what I think. I think the bar for women is lower than the guys for sure, right? We
Mm.
expect more. We expect more from the guys, and we set the bar a little lower for the ladies. And when they blow by that bar, then it's seen as like, oh my god, I can't believe this. But the bar is a lot higher for the guys because we expect more from the guys. But the women are doing really good.
I can understand that, and I guess if we were going to caveat and just kind of put it back, then I guess the women are closing the bar really quick on the
Yeah,
guys. Then will probably be a fair assessment because it seems like when I look through like women's wrestling, and I'm not even just talking about like on like the main scene with like Sasha and Bianca and looking at Becky and Dr. Britt Baker, right? But you're looking
yeah,
at people like you look at people at like Willow and Erica Lee, and you're looking at people like Gabby Ortiz. You're looking at people at like Mariah Moreno, who actually just recently retired, or Lufisto. Like you're
yeah,
seeing like they're passing down this knowledge and pushing this division like so much further. And it's like that's where like you see like I call it the cloud boom, kind of like the nuclear cloud, where it's like it hits and it just explodes outwards. I feel like that's what we're getting right now with those like those leading the path.
yeah. I agree. I mean, there was a time in our business where women were perfectly happy. I don't know if they were or not, but this was a perception. Just being like eye candy. like models. You know what I mean?
Right.
Now they want to be seen more as athletes and be taken seriously like the men, and so that push is on full force. On certain levels, I don't know if it's going to be completely accepted though.
Mm.
WWE has what they like, like even for the guys, they like their guys looking like bodybuilders, and they like their women looking like models. Is that going to go away anytime soon? I don't know. We'll see. It'll be interesting. There are moments where we have breakthroughs, both on the guy's side and the lady's side, where we break away from that status quo, but we always go back. So we'll see.
Yeah. So, hey, those are all my heavy hitting questions, but we do got to get into the second best segment of the 3 Count podcast. So you're probably trying to figure out what it is. It's the Red Dogs Power Rankings. That is our top, our top segment in on the 3 Count podcast. But this is the 3 Count podcast 10 count questions. And Mr. Brown, this is how it works. I'm gonna fire off 10 questions at you, rapid fast. Whatever's your answer, that's your answer.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
So we're going to put on the imaginary timer for added pressure. Bing! And here we go. SmackDown or Raw?
SmackDown.
Favorite movie?
Training Day.
Nice. Sonic or Mario?
Sonic.
Favorite Spice Girl?
The one that married to the soccer player, I guess. I don't know what it is.
Pops. PlayStation or Xbox?
PlayStation.
Favorite cartoon?
Man, I don't know. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
That's always like that's always the safe answer to go with. Like just TMNT.
That's everyone's answer. Well, I'm from that time period, so I guess.
Android or Apple?
Apple.
Favorite podcast?
3 Count.
That's what I'm talking about. Not like we have it marketed everywhere. Nominate one person that you want to see on this podcast.
Let's go with Ichiban.
Okay. He's definitely a person I want to get on this show, by the way. Like he's definitely like my tops.
Good luck. He only says Ichiban number 1.
That's fine with me. I could do a whole interview with that. I'd be okay with that.
Let me know when and where. I'll tune in.
And then I would 13 minutes of that. You bet I will be in for that.
you have your challenge. That's a challenge for you.
And then last but not least, my favorite question to ask every single person who comes on this podcast: favorite curse word?
Motherfucker.
It's right. Classics. That's what you need in this life.
Hey, motherfucker's been around forever. That shit ain't going nowhere.
Right. That's why it sounds like whenever you like need a good because it can mean so much. It's not like it's like an angry word. Like you can look at someone like inquisitively and you're like motherfucker. Like
right.
You just
someone could do something impressive that you thought they couldn't do. You're like, there's no way in fucking hell they do it. You go, motherfucker. God shit. It can be good or bad.
Right, yeah. Even then when they bomb, it's like, motherfucker, man.
Yeah. I told you that motherfucker was gonna drop the bottle.
Like you do it in dismay too. Like just look at someone who's like, motherfucker.
Motherfucker. Sam Jackson picked the right word.
Oh, yes, of all time.
He made a career off of that one word, motherfucker.
Oh yeah. I think about like when I remember seeing him like for the first time in like Jesus, Coming to America, and like just seeing him with the shotgun.
I don't even think most people know. That's how I know you're a movie buff. I don't think most people know that he was even in Coming to America.
Yeah,
that's what's up, man.
And like he just, and the way he started it too, when he was like, "Motherfucker, what?" I'm just like, yeah, that's his career right there. Just that word.
Good career too.
Facts. So listen, those are all my questions that I do have, but the last thing I need from you is to let our listeners and our viewers know where they can find you.
They can find me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at This Is SWB, at TOS Wrestling 1.
There you go. He gave you all the handles, told you where you can find them, so you know what that means. Like every great part of a wrestling match, we got to take this home. Because this is the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Entering the Ring, and I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up this mountain called wrestling. And that's right. It's never about me, because like every good Sherpa, you got to have someone who's been there, done that, and can do it more efficiently than you can. And you see him right next to me. It's SWB, the Underground King, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Slyck Wagner Brown. And you guys know what to do. Tune in to the next episode and be there, or you're on all of our social media platforms, which are down below us. You're following us. You're tweeting at us. You're leaving all the comments. You're sharing all that content. Or you're even on Pro Wrestling Tees / the 3 Count Podcast and buying our merch, because that's important too. Got to keep this thing funded. And last but not least, you're tuning in. You're there. Or you just wait for this episode to end. You wait for the outro. And then you choose another episode to listen to. Peace. What's going on, 3 Count Nation? I'm Clifford Red Dog Miller with the catchphrase. But what I really want to do right now, go to twitter.com, right? Go over there, find us at the 3 Count _ pod, give us a follow, give us a like, give us a comment. We want to talk to you guys. Go to IG at the 3 Count pod. Give us a like, give us a follow, leave us a comment. We want to interact with you. Go to youtube.com, give a subscribe, turn the bell on, turn the notifications, leave a comment. We want to talk to you. Go to anchor.fm / the 3 Count Podcast, and in there, you can leave us a message, and we will talk to you. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is that we want to talk to you. We want to have fun with you guys, and we love listening to what you guys have to say. Also, one thing I need you to do for me, the 3 Count Podcast also has merchandise. Oh! At prowrestlingtees.com / the 3 Count Pod. Please, go buy our t-shirts. We love you guys, and we hope you love us too. So show us some support, please.